This demon was incredibly unlucky. He thought he was just there to bully the weak, but instead, he ran into the protagonist, a tough nut to crack. That day, after attending a lecture for dungeon beginners, the protagonist embarked on his first practical adventure into the dungeon. The instructor explained as they walked that because the dungeon's monsters multiplied every few years, forming hives, a double protective barrier was erected both inside and outside the dungeon to defend against attacks from both sides. Upon arriving at the dungeon, the instructor announced free time, as the first level they were on was relatively safe. While exploring, the protagonist and his roommate, Amon, encountered a soldier ant monster. The protagonist remained remarkably calm. After all, such a low-level monster was no different from an ant in the real world to him. Then, the protagonist used a soldier ant spell to pin the ant monster to the ground and had Amon go after it, thus inducing Amon's greed. And so, for several days in a row, the protagonist and Amon explored the dungeon together. During the battle, the protagonist notices that Amon's swordsmanship is very similar to Abel's. It turns out that Amon has been striving to emulate Abel's skills. The protagonist encourages Amon, assuring him that with continued effort, he will eventually catch up to Abel's strength and perhaps even surpass him. The next day, the protagonist goes to the library near the guild to study alchemy. However, before he has studied for long, the library plunges into darkness. A solar eclipse has occurred outside. Upon stepping outside, the protagonist is surprised to find that the entire world has been reversed. He has clearly been pulled into a magical space. At this moment, the protagonist senses killing intent behind him and instinctively uses an ice wall to defend against the attack. You've already absorbed the humans. Never mind, as long as we eliminate them, there won't be a problem. The source of the attack was the demon from the beginning. The demon launched flames again. Seeing this, the protagonist quickly released a wall of soldiers to block the attack. At this moment, the demon changed its attack method. A gust of wind hit the protagonist's shoulder. Unexpectedly, it didn't harm him. It turned out that the protagonist was wearing the Fairy King's robe, which could withstand most magical attacks. Seeing it was the Fairy King's robe, the demon used a physical attack. Unexpectedly, the protagonist blocked it with his sword. After a fierce physical clash, the demon questioned the protagonist. After the protagonist interrupted the charging fireball, the demon became enraged and slashed at the protagonist again. Then, a fierce magical clash ensued. Unexpectedly, the protagonist's magical strength was too overwhelming, breaking through the demon's defenses and injuring the demon. The male protagonist swiftly leaped forward, ready to finish off the demon. But the demon was no pushover. Not only did it block the protagonist's sword, but its regeneration speed was also astonishing. After landing, the demon charged up another fireball, only to be surrounded by water droplets. This was the protagonist's true killing move, a sudden incantation combined with a fusion magic that boiled the water. This completely ignited the demon's desire to fight the protagonist. However, the time limit in the spatial dimension expired, and the demon had to stop. It was a pity the time was too short. So many battles. When did it all begin? I'm so happy. Human. My name is Leonor Uraka Albrucale. Your name is... My name is Rio. Demon. After both introduced themselves, the demon said that it would be stronger next time they met and warned the protagonist not to be killed by other demons, then disappeared. After the battle, the protagonist breathed a sigh of relief. Back at the guild, the protagonist discovers his roommate has been bullied. The bullies have ambushed him in the training grounds, claiming it's to improve the roommate's vigilance. Seeing this, the protagonist quickly intervenes, retaliating in kind by knocking out the bully's henchman and easily defeating the gang leader, finally getting revenge for his roommate.